Late Edition.
Tonight, plans lodged for a $130 million Wollongong medical centre. Another serious accident on the Princes Highway. And contractors face creditors following another building company collapse.
Good evening, I'm Geoff Phillips.
And I'm Kerryn Johnston. Also tonight, an iris survey on the Crown Street Mall.
And a rally to oppose the Illawarra airport upgrade. The final stage of a proposed $130 million high-rise development in Rawson Street is before Wollongong City Council. Developer Gempac has lodged a development application that will see a 16-storey complex built featuring a nursing home, private hospital and commercial space.
Their ambitious plans 2.5 years in the making. 2 tower blocks connected by an overhanging bridge are to be built on parcels of land in Rawson Street.
And we're very excited about the whole project. It is large and we think it's a worthwhile project.
The impacts will be far-reaching, with 700 jobs to be created during construction and 600 when operational.
Theoretically, the strip shopping up and down Crown Street, especially the western end, and the council's revitalisation plans will certainly be boosted with this development.
It's to feature a 60-bed private hospital, 90 nursing home beds, 127 self-care units and 3,500 square metres of commercial space. The project has been the cause of much criticism from community members wanting limited high-rise in the CBD. Developers now hopeful support and demand for the complex is high.
People will not have to travel to Sydney, or as many people have to travel to Sydney for their private procedures.
A service provider has all but signed. If the DA is approved, construction is expected to begin toward the end of this year, with the centre operational in 2007. Jodie Noyce, Win News.
Amid controversial plans to redevelop the North Beach Bathers Pavilion, confirmation today that the New South Wales Heritage Council is now considering listing the site. The move follows community outcry over the proposal and could threaten any plans to have the site redeveloped.
From an unassuming debut as the North Beach surf sheds, the pavilion is now being recognised of much greater importance.
The State Heritage Register means that this building and the kiosk with it are not just important to us, they're important to the whole of New South Wales.
It's been described as an eccentric building, its Art Deco influences capturing the spirit of Wollongong's enthusiasm for the beach. The Heritage Council has acknowledged the pavilion as a landmark for its rarity, its architectural value and its cultural significance. All arguments have been expressed by members of the People's Pavilion Committee at the recent community rally, and an example of the strong local sentiment since news of the development proposal surfaced in 2002.
I do feel myself that community interest has probably hastened the process at its end stages.
Only the 7th site in Wollongong recognised by the Heritage Council. If listed, the pavilion will join Wollongong East Post Office and St Michael's Cathedral on the register, with possible complications with the development application before Council. The Heritage Council has advertised its intention to list the pavilion on the State Heritage Register. Now it will be referred to the Minister for consideration of any submissions before a final decision is made. Noni Edwards, Win News.
Iris research of Wollongong residents and their opinions of the Crown Street Mall has revealed strong support for the area remaining traffic-free. 3,000 residents were surveyed with the mall's open plan among the favoured aspects. The majority of the respondents travel by car, with the lack of public transport and parking the most common criticism. The survey also showed demand for a discount store and was critical of the exposed design of the mall. The findings come amid calls by traders for a revamp of the mall. The research will assist Council when planning the mall's refurbishment.
Members of the Central Wollongong Planning Committee are currently meeting behind closed doors at City Council. The group, which features 11 new members, is discussing a city strategy and being addressed by General Manager Rod Oxley. More trauma on the Princes Highway overnight has left a Nowra resident in a serious condition in Shoalhaven Hospital. Police are investigating the 2-car crash, which also saw 2 others hospitalised.
6:15 last night, a wet and greasy road and more injuries on the Princes Highway. This red Commodore was travelling north along the highway at Nowra near the Calendar Street intersection. Police say it crossed onto the wrong side of the road and ploughed into this blue Astra. Ambulance and rescue personnel were quick to arrive on scene, pulling 2 people from the wreck. They were taken to Shoalhaven Hospital. The 32-year-old Nara man in the Commodore was trapped for some time as the fire brigade rescue team battled to free him. Distressed friends looked on. He was finally removed and, suffering serious head injuries, was taken to Shoalhaven Hospital.
Police are conducting inquiries into the accident, and we have a number of witnesses.
The Commodore closely examined as part of those inquiries. Lizzie Pearl, Win News.
Wollongong bus operators have dismissed state government claims the 2004 Sydney bus crash, which injured 32 people, highlights the need for reform of the industry. An independent report has found shoddy maintenance by the bus company caused the accident. Transport Minister John Watkins is using the findings to push the case for reform in the industry. Private bus operators say they see some merit in the proposed reforms, but believe the government is drawing a long bow.
It was basically an operator who decided not to sort of implement the systems for which I was supposed to, and they let their buses go by the wayside. And any operator could probably still do that.
A community rally will be held this weekend in protest against upgrade work taking place at Albion Park Airport. The airport's runway is being strengthened in preparation for the arrival of Qantas flights in May. Local residents have a number of concerns, including increased noise levels and pollution, and the lack of community consultation during the approval process. Unions are threatening to place a black ban on a near-complete Magnet Mart store at Albion Park after its developer went into receivership. Around $2.5 million is owed to creditors, many of whom are subcontractors affected by the Walter construction collapse.
95% complete, work on the homewares store ended last Friday when it was revealed Upper Class Developments was in financial trouble. In what's been turbulent times for the local construction industry, subcontractors fighting for entitlements in the Walter saga are among those now further out of pocket.
Half of these contractors here, again today, are busy saying, well, God, why are we in business?
At the first meeting with administrators, owner of the collapsed company promised to sell personal assets to pay outstanding debts, some of which date back to when work started a year ago. However, unions remain sceptical and are considering placing a black ban on the site, with future tenants Canberra-based company Magnet Mart yet to begin trading.
Magnet Mart's going to be looking to be paying some rent to someone. We assume it's the developer.
A second meeting with administrators is planned in the coming weeks. Jodie Noyce, Win News.
Coming up next on Win News, Dapto shopkeepers battle against vandalism and graffiti.
And preaching the value of environmental sustainability.
The long-awaited inquiry into mine safety in New South Wales has been released. Among the recommendations, a shake-up of the Mine Advisory Safety Council.
Presided over by a person of eminence in the community, to have a couple of experts, independent experts, sitting as members of that tribunal, together with representatives of the unions and the companies.
The objective of the in-depth review is to make an inherently dangerous industry safer and eliminate shortcuts.
If there are practices out there that are illegal, we need to make sure, because the safety of these miners is paramount, we have to make sure as government we stamp them out immediately.
Several Dapto businesses have been targeted by vandals in a spate of graffiti attacks. Princes Highway shop staff and business owners are outraged over what they claim is becoming an epidemic.
Business owners and retail staff arrived at work this morning to discover their shop fronts and delivery vehicles plastered with the graffiti. 3 buildings, 2 trucks and a telephone box were all scarred with the spray-painted tags, some of the signatures already known to business owners.
It has happened before. We've had continual problems with graffiti, we've had problems with vandalism in general, and it's, I think the local business community have just about had enough.
That local business community feel the problem is a result of police neglect, even drawing parallels to the Macquarie Fields situation, and are calling for political action on the matter.
There's no police patrols. They're allocated to other areas such as Port Kembla and Arilla, and that's a big issue. I think that our local politicians have to start to take some notice of the community.
The traders are hopeful of a meeting with police shortly to try and come up with a solution to the problem. Noni Edwards, Win News.
Expressions of interest have closed for the former RTA site in Kembla Street, Wollongong. All applications will now be reviewed by an independent panel, which will then make its recommendation to the Roads and Traffic Authority. The review process is expected to take a week. The prime site near the CBD is expected to sell for more than $5 million.
The subject of sustainability has dominated an address by world-renowned environmentalist David Suzuki at a gathering of high school students at Wollongong University. It's the second time the scientist has spoken at the university in as many weeks, each time to a sold-out audience.
It's not every day you get to hear one of the world's most respected environmentalists speak, which is why students from 45 schools across the region flocked to the University of Wollongong today. David Suzuki made a return visit to Wollongong after giving an address in the city less than 2 weeks ago. The professor keen to impress on his audience the important role they can play in protecting the environment.
And start trying to convince their parents that this obsession with money and stuff and all that is not about their future. What about the air? What about the water? What about the food that they're going to eat and the energy that they're going to use in the future?
Encouraging greater environmental awareness seen as a vital part of ensuring our future.
He is very evangelical about this, and that's good. And what he's trying to do is just make people realise that there's a limit to what we can do on this planet. It has to be sustainable.
Professor Suzuki has co-authored 42 books and holds 16 honorary degrees. His message to the next generation: the environment is everyone's business.
So they can't just kind of say, oh, well, I don't understand it, it's beyond me, I don't want to take part in it. They've got the most vital stake in all of this that's going on.
Terry Aylett, Win News.
What is the role and responsibility of executives in Australia's system of government? That's just one of the questions students from across Australia are being asked during a week-long national convention.
Study these faces closely, for among them could be tomorrow's doctors, lawyers, scientists, or perhaps even a future Australian Prime Minister. They're among the cream of the crop of Australia's Year 11 and 12 students attending the National Schools Constitutional Convention. Among the highlights, a presentation by Federal Education Minister Dr. Brendan Nelson.
We have every right to be confident about our future because we have thousands of young Australians who are confident, who are bright, who are questioning, who are intelligent, and who are determined to make Australia an even better place.
And then there's a chance for students to question firsthand a member of federal parliament.
We're going to be in control of the nation one day, the youth of today. So we're not just going to accept what's been given to us.
I believe that as students and young people of Australia, our opinions should be heard because we are the future of Australia.
At the end of the week, students will give federal parliament a youthful perspective on ethics, citizenship and leadership.
We get to express our opinions and we get to discuss things with people our own age, and just by having that experience and having that knowledge that we'll come away with, I think it does impart some kind of power on us, I guess.
The final question: what to do with an open mind?
I don't actually say I would like to be a politician. I'd say I would like to do the best by people and people who need help, and if that means being a politician, well, that'll be it.
Gabrielle Boyle, Win News.
Well-known Batemans Bay resident Bob Wade has been named Eurobodalla Senior Citizen of the Year. Meanwhile, as part of Senior Citizens Week, a multicultural food festival has been held at Albion Park. All the food on display was prepared by volunteers from the Italian Social Welfare Organisation. 75 seniors took part in today's special luncheon.
Let's check the figures on the stock market. BlueScope Steel today was down 18 cents to $9.15. BHP Bulletin jumped 4 to $18.60. The AMP was up 3 to $7.37. Telstra shaved 1. The unlisted IMB was also down 1 to finish at $3.17.
Sport is next, and rain could ruin Easter for Illawarra cricketers, Geoff.
Could, Kerryn. They're looking for a dry weekend. Also, Billy Slater targets a storm record. And Hawks coach Brendan Joyce says, let's get physical.
Good evening. Expect a fired-up, physical Wollongong in Saturday's third NBL Grand Final game. Embarrassed by 2 20-point losses last weekend, the Hawks have been challenged by their coach to get in Sydney's face. Plenty of basketball fans have written Wollongong off, but it's just the environment Brendan Joyce thrives in.
We haven't played hard enough these last 2 games. We're kidding ourselves if we think we have and that they're the better team. they've been the better team, but we haven't played to the level that we know we can play, and that's, you know, we get that done, we're going to win.
Brendan made a good point today that we still had to beat them 3 times to win the series, so you know, it just has to be 3 in a row.
The Kings' Brian Gorgian is the only coach in NBL history to lose 3 straight playoff games in the one season, but most fast facts are against Wollongong. After 2 games, it's the lowest scoring and most heavily beaten team in NBL Grand Final history.
The main area that I guess we've really got to hone in on is matching their physicality. They've molested us on the boards, and you know, we can't let that happen. Adam Ballinger, Andrew Rice, Cameron, Troy, Sav, we've got to step up.
Any game I'm playing for the Hawks I'm enjoying, so I think that's just what we've got to do, come out and enjoy ourselves, take the challenge on, and hopefully we'll do well.
I mean, we'd like to play that way, and if they want to play that way with us, then, you know, we should be able to handle it. So
the week between games has been ideal for Wollongong. It's on the ropes, but better for the breather.
What I think is just be aggressive, attack, and you know, everything on the front foot, and just put everything we have into it, which is, you know, it's pretty obvious, simple stuff.
The key to Hawks' success is really the forecast for a wet weekend. Their highly superstitious coach believes he wins when it rains. The Dragons are about to start another night session at WIN Stadium before Saturday's showdown with the Storm. Melbourne will take some stopping, losing only 4 of its 12 games against St George Illawarra and off this 48-10 romp against Newcastle. Flying fullback Billy Slater scored 3 tries and wants a Storm record of 21 for the season. Matt Geyer and Matt Orford hold the record with 20, while Slater's best is 19. The Storm will train in Wollongong tomorrow afternoon, out to reverse a 34-14 loss at WIN Stadium last August. A coup for Bulli football, with next Wednesday's 3rd round of the statewide knockout transferred from Sydney to Balls Paddock. It will host New South Wales Premier League club Rockdale, which downed the Wolves earlier this season 2-1. Bulli is unbeaten in 9 games this year and expects a big crowd. Kick-off is 7:30. Meantime, Illawarra football has postponed this week's game between South Coast United and Albion Park White Eagles. It received information some people involved with last week's Sydney soccer violence planned to disrupt the Illawarra game. Illawarra Cricket's grand finalists better clear their Easter weekends. With rain forecast for the next 3 days, 1st, 2nd and 3rd grade grand finals will continue on Easter Saturday if rain prevents 11.5 hours play or a result this weekend. It's a different story in South Coast Cricket, which has a controversial first-past-the-post system. If rain stops the result this weekend, minor premier Albion Park will be awarded the grand final. Last season, Warilla won in identical circumstances when rain spoilt Jamboroo's strong position. Ulladulla's Sarah Kasoulis is the fastest qualifier for tonight's 200-metre breaststroke final at the Australian Swimming Championships. Still, she has an awesome rival just behind Liesl Jones. Kasoulis may be fastest, but it's Jones many are tipping to break the world record. She eased home in last night's semi to be just over a second slower than Kasoulis. Meantime, Kiama cyclist Ben Kirsten is in the air tonight, bound for Los Angeles and the World Track Championships. He's one of 10 men and 4 women in the Australian team and a genuine medal chance in his pet event, the Kilo Time Trial, after surprising even himself at the National Track Championships. The Worlds start late next week. The Australian Surf Lifesaving Championships start tomorrow on the Gold Coast. Former Batemans Bay, Mollymook and now Bulli 23-year-old Ashley Cheney is in the right form to defend her beach sprint gold, having recently won the state crown. It completed an unprecedented set of wins at branch, country, state, national and world championships at under 16, 18 and open levels. And Blackbutt's Kerryn Murphy has been bundled out of Lawn Bowl's inaugural Australian Open. She lost to Marianne Canute in a quarter, who in turn fell to Roma Dunn in this semi. Dunn will play New Zealander Sharon Sims in the final. Brett Dupre is out of the men's competition, leaving Wollongong's Zell Diamond, who plays for Tarrant Point, to fly the flag for this region. And Geoff, that's our sport.
Thanks, Matt. The weather details next, then turning on the green for St Patrick's Day. A cold, windy and rainy day today as we check the satellite photo. There's a low pressure trough moving along the coast while a ridge of high pressure is extending along the southern New South Wales coast. Consequently, conditions have remained cool and overcast. Tomorrow the high will move south of Tasmania, directing cool and moist southeasterly winds onto the coast. The trough will deepen over the far northeast of the state. Isolated showers for the coast and adjacent ranges, while on Saturday the trough will be off the northern New South Wales coast. Widespread rainfalls today, some good falls on the south coast, topped by Ulladulla getting 13 millimetres. Today's temperatures, and generally speaking in the mid to high teens, the best Wollongong with 19, and also Narooma and Bega got up to 19. Merimbula actually was the top in the viewing area with 21. The forecast for the Illawarra and the Highlands, isolated showers, a cool to mild day with light to moderate south to southeasterly winds, fresher near the coast. Ahead of us, don't have to tell you, showers for the weekend extending into Monday. For the south coast, isolated showers and some early drizzle, a cool to mild Friday with light to moderate south to southeasterly winds. Seas are running at 2 to 3 metres on a 1.5 to 2 metre swell, and our first tide tomorrow is a high at 2:52. The first low of the day at 13 past 10. Wollongong tomorrow up to 19 degrees, 15 in Bowral, 17 degrees in Nowra and Bateman's Bay, Bega a top of 18.
Mother Nature provided the right weather for an Irish celebration, and there was no shortage of willing participants to take part in festivities for Ireland's National Day. St Patrick's Day providing yet another excuse to skip the office and head to the pub.
The Guinness flowed as freely as the River Shannon back on the Emerald Isle, as Australians celebrated alongside our adopted cousins, the Irish. March 17, where everyone has an excuse to be celebrating.
My family's from Tipperary, County Cork, and yeah, so I do it for my family.
It's just a great day to hang out with your friends and to have a good time on the premise of being Irish, which I am not.
Oh, well, I'm actually 100% Irish, born and bred.
For the real traditionalists, Irish dancing filled the void, though staring at those feet can be a health hazard, with one too many under the belt. And while they say there's a meal in every glass, Ireland's favourite day is sure to be celebrated into the wee hours of the morning.
We've been out here since 7 in the morning, so it could be a very big day, but good fun. Good fun.
Lissy Pearl, WIN News.
They're still going, and that is the news from across the region for this Thursday night.
News headlines can be found on our website winnet.com.au. From the WIN News team, good night.
This has been a WIN News presentation from Australia's largest regional television network.